How's it going? Thralls Metal here again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and we're doing another collection update. Now, I understand the last one wasn't necessarily the most metal update there was, a lot of industrial and so on. This time we're getting right back to the metal, 100%. So, let's start it off. And this is a good start off. Immolation Providence CP. This is the band's reissued version of this. This originally came out as one of the Scion promotions, and it's incredible. Much like everything else in their discography, right from the get-go, the song What They Bring is just 100% everything you want from Immolation. It has their token strange drum fills, and the super low vocals, the weird pinch harmonics. Everything you love about Immolation is on here. Only 5 songs, but every single one is killer. I'm so glad I actually bought this from the band, too. And, like I said, the self-release version, I think that's even cooler. I hear the Scion one goes for maybe a little bit more on Discogs. Those are kind of hard to find. I think I only have one Scion EP from Revocation, and I was surprised at how much that one went for. But yeah, awesome EP. Just check this out. It's if you're already a fan of Immolation, chances are you're going to love the shit out of this. So yeah, check it out. Devil Master Manifestations. This, I believe, is a re-release of older material from Devil Master at the time they got signed, I believe last year, because this came out last year on Relapse Records, and I don't like it as much as their most recent release this year, which I thought was really surprisingly good, like an interesting blend of black metal, punk, and even old goth rock in the vein of bands like Bauhaus or Sisters of Mercy. This one is definitely more black metal punk, but I don't think the songs are particularly that catchy. The guitar tone is really strange, especially with the lead melodies. It just sounds almost off-key on a good chunk of this. Black metal and punk definitely seem to work well together. I do love when Dark Throne did that for a while, especially on Circle the Wagons. This one kind of gets a little lost in just maybe trying to sound strange and weird and creepy. But I like the direction they're going in. Now, their most recent one actually sounds very refined. I think I brought it up on a previous collection update. But yeah, this one, kind of a collector's only kind of thing. But yeah, check it out. It's still pretty interesting, especially if you like black metal and punk. Alright, this is a 4-way split between Gatecreeper, Outer Heaven, Scorched, and Homewrecker. It's incredible. They each have one song in here, and they're all fucking awesome. I was already really familiar with Gatecreeper, Outer Heaven, which we're listening to right now, and Scorched already. Like, those bands are just incredible, old school death metal, very gritty, dirty, and especially Gatecreeper. Gatecreeper has that old school Swedish death metal sound, which I fucking adore. But yeah, they were definitely the standout, and the opening track on here, Carved in the Stone, which was Gatecreeper's too. Homewrecker was a bit of a surprise for me. They had them billed as kind of metalcore, but I kind of heard like death metal and crust kind of in there. It's a real dirty sounding kind of metalcore, if it is in fact metalcore. I really dig this. I picked this up at Maryland Death Fest, I think at Season of Mist's booth. Saw it there, saw all the names on it. It was like, fuck, I have to get this. This is awesome. I think it was like maybe $10. Totally worth it. All 4 songs, absolutely killer, and I think this is the only place you can really find them, I believe. But yeah, 100%. If you can find this, pick it up. If you love all those bands, or even if you love just 2 of them, or 1 of them, these are awesome songs. Wolvhammer, The Monument of Ash and Bone. This is an awesome blackened sludge band. I don't know, it's almost kind of blackened death and almost thrashy in parts. It's coming out on Blood Music. This is just nasty, harsh, brutal, and brooding, and just there's a lot of adjectives for this. Really fucking heavy. I've been listening to this band for a number of years, and I was actually thrilled to hear that when, unfortunately, Chance Garrett left Skeleton, which the frontman for this band was a replacement, I was like, okay, he has very close to that style of vocal, and I'm kind of wondering what they bring, or if they change the direction of their music with him, and they kind of did. It leans a little bit more towards black metal with Skeleton Witch. This is definitely more blackened sludge, but it doesn't get slow and grimy as much as sludge does. It stays pretty upbeat, like in terms of the speed, the blast beats, and all that, and it's very, very chuggy. I really dig this one. I love their other 2 releases that I have. This is an amazing band if you haven't jammed Wolvhammer before. I believe they're from Minneapolis. I can't quite remember. I think that's right, though. But yeah, 100% just check out these guys. They will fuck you up. Slaughter, Meat Cleaver. This is a rehearsal, actually, from 1984, and it sounds like it was recorded on a tape deck in true DIY fashion. This band has always been in the conversation as to, like, who were the original death metal bands, like what got them rolling. And this band should be in that conversation, mainly because at one point, Chuck Schuldiner was a member of. This is definitely not death metal, though. I think this is way more punk. Like, when you listen to it, and I grant the recording quality is kind of bad, it does sound as cheaply recorded as possible, but there's a lot of energy in these songs, but it sounds mostly punk. Like, the guitar tone isn't particularly heavy. Actually, the bass tone, I think, is much heavier. These songs would later start shifting more towards metal, and you'd start hearing their token death thrash sound, which you would hear on their full-length Strapato, which is an awesome listen. Granted, very gritty. Now, this band didn't last very long. They broke up, I believe, not too long after that album was released, and then actually took the name of that album, Strapato, and became a band after that, but I think they only had one release with that band as well. Now, this is pretty much like a collector's only thing, at least in my opinion. It's very, very rough sounding. But, you know, if you want to hear, like, some of that just youthful energy, like, you know, from the 80s in terms of where music started getting maybe more extreme, this is a pretty interesting listen. Definitely check it out. It's on Hammerheart. It's a fun reissue. And also I picked it up at Maryland Death Fest, so I thought that was kind of cool. Laceration Remnants. This is a compilation of early EPs and split EPs from a death thrash band from California, I believe. Awesome sound on here. Like, this has very much that old school death thrash sound like you'd hear on maybe Death Scream Bloody Gore, or I'd say Pestilence was a big influence on these guys too. They definitely have that sound as well. Chuggy riffs. There's also a lot of stuff that reminds me of early Sepultura too, especially with a lot of the lead work. Really, really solid stuff. Now, it kind of varies in terms of production from song to song, or at least from batch of songs to batch of songs, because, you know, stuff was released in, like, it goes from 2006 to 2013, so they had varying production in those different stages. But the songs are really awesome. I think there's only one repeat song, so you get a chance to hear more of a demo version of that song, and then a more polished version. Really good stuff. I dig the fuck out of this. I picked this up in a record store in Maryland. I think that was Soundgarden. I'm definitely going to look around and see if I can find anything else they have on CD. I heard they reunited. They're done with their long hiatus. So, who knows? Might be more of this stuff in the future. Oh yeah, this was also out on Unspeakable Acts Records, which was where that four-way split was on from Gatecreeper and so on and so forth. I just forgot to bring it up. Check it out. Marduk Nightwing. I fucking love Marduk. That's one of my favorite black metal bands. I love how vicious they sound and how fucking fast they fucking go. Tons of just insane blast beats on this, but they get that whole creepy evil vibe, and that's what we love about black metal. It sounds evil as fuck. Now, I also like the fact that the production on this is actually really clear. It doesn't sound very murky like early black metal, or at least early Norwegian black metal sounded. Granted, these guys are Swedish, but it actually has a nice, gritty but polished sound. Guitars sounded nice and chuggy. They have a good kind of classic crunch to them. Drums have a lot of punch to it. The songs are killer. I fucking loved every fucking song on this. This was one I had never jammed before by Marduk, and I've been meaning to get more of their shit, and I happened upon it at Maryland Death Fest. What a great place to find shit. If I was going to recommend a Marduk album, this would be near the top of the list. I really, really dug this one. So definitely check it out if you haven't heard it. Insanity Alert 666 Pack. This is a crossover thrash band from Belgium, I believe. And they're okay. I'll give them that. It has that very token crossover sound, very much in the vein of DRI, or even more currently Municipal Waste. Songs are very short, abrasive. Now, the humor is very tongue-in-cheek, but it sometimes really doesn't deliver, and it just kind of comes off as cringy a bit. Unfortunately, there's not a lot here that you probably haven't heard better and different crossover bands. Like, I don't think they're bad by any extent, but it just feels almost like a tribute to crossover thrash in general. But it's out on Season of Mist. I mean, it's worth a check out. It came out this year, and I mean, if you're a crossover thrash fan, check it out. There's not a lot of bands that actually do crossover thrash anymore, and I suppose you might as well just check them all out and see how they're doing. Not terrible, but just kind of wavering the okay realm. Pestilence, the Dysentery Penance. This is a combination of the two early demos from Pestilence, also known as Dysentery and the Penance. It's really good. It's not very death metal at this point. It still had, like, you know, little flecks of it which would become death metal later. It has more of their, like, straightforward thrash sound, with a little bit of death thrash to it. It's really cool hearing the origin of the band, because these guys apparently were always really good songwriters, because the songs in here are absolutely killer. You also get to hear Martin Van Druen's first appearance as the vocalist on this, which I think was interesting, because he sounds almost nothing like how he sounds on Pestilence's first two albums, which are fantastic. He didn't have that super dry vocal thing. It actually was more kind of a thrash shout. But yeah, really good shit. This is on Vic Records, and I got this at the Hell's Headbangers tent at Maryland Death Fest. They had a ton of cool shit there. The demos sound really fucking good on this. They did a good job polishing up the recording. Check it out. Numenorean Adore. This is a band that somehow floated under my radar, and a lot of people were buzzing about. I even had someone comment on one of our videos that we needed to review these guys, and I'm sorry we didn't, because this is really incredible. They're a post-black metal band from Calgary, I believe. Now, post-black metal doesn't sound like it describes them adequately, because they're really all over the place. There's elements of death metal, definitely black metal, some post-metal, even kind of folky moments. There's a lot of stuff on here that reminded me of Gojira, and even stuff that reminded me of, like, Smashing Pumpkins and Deftones. These guys carve a wide swath. It kind of has the same feel as a band like Rivers of Nile or Black Crown Initiate would be a good example. Really interesting melodies throughout, real layered. There's parts in here that remind me of Enslaved too. So these guys are all over the place, and it's just amazing that this combination of sounds in here. The guitar work is absolutely mesmerizing in here. Drum work is tight in the pocket. I was able to jam this for some friends who are not necessarily metalheads, and they were really enjoying it despite the screaming vocals. They really enjoyed the melodies in here. So yeah, I adore this album. Fucking lame joke, sorry. But yeah, we should have reviewed it. We should have reviewed it. This is possibly year-end material. I need to jam this even more, but I need to get some more of their stuff. If it's as good as this, I need to get more. Nocturnus A.D. Paradox. This is technically the new Nocturnus album. Throw on the AD because of legal reasons. It becomes a different band somehow, but honestly, it's not. If you're familiar with Nocturnus, which they were an interesting tech death / sci-fi metal band from Tampa, this is quite the continuation of their sound, but it is even more technical, I believe, than their earlier stuff. Sometimes it gets a little bit lost in the techiness, though, which would be my gripe on here. Like, you get a nice groove, a nice melody going, a nice chuggy part, and then it just goes buck nutty, throwing guitar noodling and just off-time jazz signatures. It's an insane listen, and these guys are insanely talented. They're going to be at Maryland Death Fest next year, and this is one of the bands I think I absolutely have to check out, among others, of course. But pretty solid release. I don't think it compares to, I think their best album is The Key still, which is a great album, and it even has keyboards in it, and it didn't put me off in the least. But yeah, this is a solid release from them. Definitely check it out. I know it says AD, it's still Nocturnus to me. It's probably still Nocturnus to everyone else too. Check it out. Mortician. Reanimated Dead Flesh. I bought this directly from Mortician at Maryland Death Fest, and it's one I didn't have. And if you've listened to Mortician, literally any of their albums, you know exactly what this sounds like. Two dudes making the heaviest fucking music possible with a drum machine, tons of samples from slasher movies and grindhouse fucking flicks, and some of the heaviest death metal there fucking is. From New York, this one actually came out on their own imprint, Mortician Records. I don't know if it's been reissued on any other record labels, but that's kind of cool. Unbelievably heavy stuff. A lot of really short songs, but if you know Mortician, that's kind of their thing. Short songs and tons of horror movie samples. You know, the drum machine part, I can go with or without. It at least sounds kind of well produced, but I think it's still supposed to sound gruff and gritty anyway, because that's just who the fuck they are. But yeah, I love Mortician. I've been a fan since, shit, like 2003, which is a long fucking time ago now. But yeah, definitely check it out. If you're a fan of Mortician, you know exactly what this is going to sound like, and if you're not, check out Mortician. They're fucking incredible. Gravehill, the Unchaste, the Profane, and the Wicked. Alright, probably shouldn't hold this too close to the camera because this is a pretty graphic album cover. These guys are from California, and they're kind of a blackened death thrash band. I really like the frontman's voice. He kind of reminds me of Brett Hoffman, who recently passed. Used to be the frontman of Malevolent Creation. It definitely has that death thrash sound with that hint of black metal in there kind of backing in. Like, the melodies are very black metal, but like the thrashy part definitely reminds me of a band like Skeleton Witch. And death part, like, I think they really kind of went after that incantation, real gritty, evil sound. Pretty solid release. Some of the songs run on a little long. This is out on Dark Descent. I have one of their other albums, and it's pretty good too. Yeah, another solid offering from these guys. I need to check out some of their earlier stuff still. Check it out, and don't show your kids the album cover, because, no, it's bad. Lich King, Do-Over. Obvious DRI tribute to the cover here. Lich King is an awesome thrash band from Amherst, I believe, and it is just awesome, self-aware, goofy thrash metal. A lot of thrash-related humor. I mean, the opening track's called Mascot War, and it's about a war between cereal mascots. There's also a song about the Predator, a cover of Van Halen's Hot for Teacher, which they thrashed the fuck up, and the teacher in the scenario is male, and it's fucking hilarious. Just, if you like fucking fast thrash metal, because these guys have one fucking speed, and it is fast as fuck. And if you like just goofy humor, definitely check these guys out. They're a lot of fucking fun live. I've seen them once at Maryland Death Fest, and then I saw them actually in the loft of a record store years ago in my hometown here. Solid guys. These guys live and die by thrash, I think. It just seems to be their thing, and the passion's there, the humor's there, and so are the riffs. Check it out. God's Forsaken. Smells of Death. This is a Swedish death metal band, and they sound just like a Swedish death metal band should. Gritty, buzzsaw guitars, real groovy chuggy parts. This one leans a little bit more on the melodic death side, just a tad. It's at least more melodic than their previous offering, which was also really good. Kind of reminded me of a band like Evocation, where they kind of walked that line between melodic death and Swedish death metal. Really, really solid songs on here. I didn't like the opening track, which is the title track. I thought it was just kind of a so-so barn burner-esque song, but it really didn't impact me. But then the rest of the album hits, and I was like, dude, wow, these are really good, and they get progressively better, too. They Crawl is a particularly good, chuggy, nasty song on here, second track. Definitely jam that one if you're looking for something to tease on that. This is out on Soul Cellar Records, and it's fucking sweet. This is only their second album, too, so looks like the future should be pretty good for these guys. Check it out. Alright, that does it for another collection update. Probably getting around to doing another one soon. I'm trying to get caught up on all this shit, so I am listening to a fuck ton of music here lately. So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, check it out, maybe sub. We do cool shit like this all the time. Catch you later.